Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com, also on Facebook at Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen online at Facebook.com, also SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Watch the interview on YouTube as well. And we're also on the TLB TV network. That's the Liberty Beacon TV network. You can catch the Mike Wagner Show every Monday at noon at this time, which is now starting. You can catch the Mike Wagner Show on TLB TV, and also you can take us wherever you go on any mobile device. We are here with a very fine gentleman from South Florida. He's the author of Man Up Already. He's probably telling everybody to do so right now. How to Live and Lead at Home and in the Marketplace is on Amazon right now. He's also a motivational speaker, financial advisor, and of course, he'll tell many things that he likes to do. And of course, sports fan extraordinaire as well. So live from South Florida, where everything's comfortable. And ladies and gentlemen, and for you men, man up already. Here he is, John Puritz. John, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, you've been in West Palm Beach for a while, and you're the author of Man Up Already, How to Live and Lead at Home and in the Marketplace. It's on Amazon.com. You're also a motivational speaker, and you're also a financial advisor. And before we get into it, especially with your book, tell us how you got started.
Well, I always talk about the fact that I'm a product of programming. So drilled into my head was, what I call the middle class trap, which is go to school, get good grades, get a good job. And I'm from New York and Connecticut. So, we did that to the letter. I'm actually a musician. So my dream was to be a rock star, back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I did that whole thing, got really close, got on a small label, but truly the programming was, you need a good job. And coming out of music school, I got a teaching degree, and I started working with inner city kids from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. And I found this passion of helping people. It was like something got ignited inside of me, and I loved teaching. So make a very, very long story short, over the span of 10 years, I taught socially and emotionally kids in a private school, then middle school for 4 years, and then high school for 4.5. All the while buying into this, be successful, work hard. The more education you have, the more successful you'll be. So I got a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, and at 33 years old, living up in Connecticut, so I can relate to your cold a little bit. My wife worked, my kids were in daycare. We were a paycheck away from doom. We were in a 50-year-old fixer-upper that was just taking all our time and money. And I knew that I could not do what we were doing for the next 30 years. I was working 12 to 15 hours a day, 6 days a week, running a full high school music program. And it was one of those moments in life where you're like, if I keep doing this, it's probably going to kill me.
Now, what was the moment that got you into this motivational speaking, and what got you into writing this book?
Well, okay, so fast forward, came down here to Florida, and I got into financial education and coaching. And the book came about because what I've noticed over the past probably 5 years more than anything else was a shift between men and women, where I would watch in my business. I do a lot of mentoring and coaching just for the nature of our business, developing people. And when it came, Mike, to the point where it was time to go to that next level, that push, right? You're facing all the things that kind of keep your life where you are, and you push through that. What I was seeing is women were pushing through that barrier more often than men. And I couldn't relate to it. Like, why is that? Why are there more single moms? Why are men really kind of caving more often than not? What is that line that has shifted? And the final point for me to write the book was I was mentoring and coaching a young guy, about 30-something years old, wife, 2 kids. And he just, they were struggling, and he wasn't doing what he needed to do. And I literally wanted to grab him and go, will you please just man up?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it was like one of those moments you're like, I've got to do something about this. So I had met a book coach, and we started talking about doing a book, and I thought I was going to write a book for women.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized that no, it's really about men, and I think there needs to be a voice that men are called to something higher and something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it came from.
And that's amazing too. And of course, you also had some biblical references, from when I ran Amazon, and maybe just give us some examples on that.
Sure. So I have a deep passion for the Bible, and specifically the Old Testament. I'm an interesting case. I'm Jewish by heritage and a believer in Christ. And when you look at the Old Testament, all the people that we talk about, really through the whole Bible, but in the New Testament especially, there's these great examples of men who were called to a purpose and faced adversity and pushed through that. And so I believe, and it's a running theme in my book, that we're all created for a purpose. Mm-hmm. And that purpose will only happen when you hit that wall between who you think you are and who God has called you to be, and pushing through that. And there's so many examples of that in the Bible that I actually don't think are talked about often.
It is amazing too. And what are some of the things that are not talked about, which are being put in the forefront right now in the book?
Well, if you look at people like David, right? What we highlight David, but David was egotistical. He was, he was an adulterer. He wasn't perfect, yet God calls him a man after his own heart. And yet here's this guy that faced his issues to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite stories in there is a story of Gideon, who literally was hiding from the enemy at that time. And yet God shows up and says to him, I choose you, mighty warrior. And mm-hmm. the example I use in that book is how many men are out there thinking, they're hiding, they're playing it safe, and yet really they are the mighty warrior in their world to fight their battle. Mm-hmm. And they need somebody to remind them of who they are. I love that. That's a great story.
Mm-hmm. I also like the book of Daniel as well, too, and what he went through. And, of course, Jonah's a really particular one where it's like he's too afraid to go to Nineveh, only for a whale to say, get in and I'm going to spit you out. So,
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, there's just these great stories that can be applied today. And I don't think necessarily it's a religious thing. I think it's just a human thing, right?
Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of the stories these days are tied to the Bible. It's not making references, but also stories that are underlying in the Bible as well, if you think about it. So a lot of theme to it. So we'll get to more of the book in just a minute, and a little bit of how teaching applies. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking on budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com and every Monday on TLB TV. That's the Liberty Beacon TV network. You can check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show and TLB TV, The Mike Wagner Show on Facebook. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and also watch the interview on YouTube as well, and take the Mike Wagner Show wherever you go on any mobile device that you have, just like this one right here. So we are here with John Puritz, the author of Man Up Already, How to Live and Lead at the Home and in the Marketplace. That's on Amazon right now. And, of course, he's also been a music teacher as well in Brooklyn and came to West Palm Beach, also a financial advisor, motivational speaker. And, of course, when you got into teaching as well, too. So what are some of the challenges that you faced in Brooklyn when it came to teaching?
Well, I actually taught in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I think the challenges there were, Mike, probably the system, which could, I guess, maybe be controversial, but, you want to help people. And yet I think the system keeps that from happening. It's kind of play it safe, play it cool, push kids through the system. I think we're reaping that right now more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the today's teaching is or how schools are being taught as well too? Do you think that's making it worse as well too, like with the testing and everything?
I fully agree on that. I taught the arts, and the arts were the thing that pulls out the humanity, right? That's where you find out who kids are, arts and sports and those things. That's where you find out what they're made of. Who are they?
Mm-hmm.
If we push to an exam or push to a test just to push them through, we're not really finding out who they are and what they can do.
Mm-hmm. And it's also too that back in the day, arts and other things were being cut as well too. So did that have any impact on your school system as well too, where they did some cuts in the funding?
I didn't experience that. No, I think that the school that we're at, they had an appreciation of the arts.
Okay.
It just was up, whether, I think the thing that frustrated me the most was the quality of the product really didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
As long as there was a product, if that makes sense.
Right. And of course, you also talked about the sports as well, too. A lot of sports. And of course, we also noticed you're a New York Giants fan and, and the like. And maybe you can just tell us about how long you've been a Giants fan and how do you think Eli Manning's going to be at quarterback?
I love it. What a great subject. I have been a Giants fan, since my early teens. It's always you typically passed down family to family. My dad's that was the one, my connection to my father, who was such an influence in my life. We shared that, and I love the New York Giants. And Eli Manning, whatever Eli Manning does moving forward, I think I love leadership, which is why I wrote a book on it. That guy set the bar, in my opinion, on class and leadership in all the things that he experienced. How he handled himself through his career is, to me, truly makes him a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a great quarterback. But that guy is class.
It is amazing, too. And how do you think he compares to his brother Peyton? There's always these comparisons that Peyton won 2 Super Bowls and Eli Manning won both and beating the New England Patriots. Otherwise, they just had like decent seasons. It's like, how do you think the comparison between Peyton and Eli?
Man, I don't even know if I can comment on that, right? Like, I look at the guy, for me, it's all about who is the person. I think that's and they're uniquely different, right? Like comparing the two of them is just silly. That could be a debate that goes back and forth. They're 2 completely different guys. Bottom line is he did win 2 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm. Or they both won 2 Super Bowls, especially Peyton in the very end, although he threw just 150 yards, no touchdowns, and barely run. 41 years old, has still got the job done. And, of course, who knows, Eli could win another one before he retires at 41. I think he's got another 5 years to go, but he doesn't have Odell Beckham with him. So
it's going to be an interesting season as a Giant fan, that's for sure.
I think so, too. It's just like, I even remember the New York Giants. I'm probably dating myself, too. It's like with Phil Simms, going way back. I mean, he was quite a leader himself, too. I remember him playing in Phil Simms, just amazing.
Yep. I also grew up in that era.
Mm-hmm.
That was a magical era to be a fan.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and of course, and I'm sure, and you also applies to life as well, like with sports and everything, and especially with your book too. That like with how to man up, and what are some of the chapters you like to highlight or just share a bit with us?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. I think that the things that stand out for me in the book, number one is, there's a chapter in there on created for purpose. It's one of my favorite chapters that I wrote on, because it's how is our brain created? What's the difference between conscious and subconscious? How do things really work? What I love to say is, we were created in the image of a creator. Therefore, we get to create, and tapping into that, how to manifest things, how to set goals, and actually bring about them in our lives. And I can talk about that, Mike, because I am literally living proof of that. I followed that. I didn't know that before coming down here to Florida, and then learning that and applying. I look at my life and literally it's life by design. It's not an accident. We're created to do that. It's one of my favorite chapters. The second half of the book is all about the 4 pillars, mm-hmm. which is, I really believe that God calls us to stand on 4 pillars. And that when a man doesn't stand on them, that's when things fall apart. And those pillars are integrity, humility, authenticity, and morality. And then the last chapter of the book is the power of your posse. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Because what's the conversation that's happening? and is in alignment with who you want to be.
hmm That is amazing. I think that sums it up very well too. And of course, you're also a motivational speaker, and you got on tours and everything. You can just tell us a little bit about that, and where will you be speaking next, and how can people get a hold of you for being a speaker?
Well, the speaking thing is kind of, birthed out of the book. So actually tomorrow morning I'll be on a plane at dark 30 going to Texas. And
Dark 30.
yeah, I will be in Dallas speaking. I'm speaking to a real estate brokerage about the book. I'm, believe it or not, talking to a high school class down there. And then for a company, J. Hilburn, which is a clothing company, and they got an incredible product.
hmm
So, I have a website. It's manupalready.com.
hmm
And, people can go there, and all my info's on there to get us to come out and talk and do what we do.
And who are some of the other companies you've spoke to as well?
Well, mostly it's been on the church circuit, coming in, and I've done that a couple of times. So this is the first time where I'm stepping out more into, non-church environments.
hmm
In my financial business, I've been in schools, colleges, I've been in small businesses teaching financial education, but this is really where the book is kind of taking over and stepping out into that realm.
That is amazing too. You talked about financial education, been a financial advisor for quite some time. Just tell us all about that, and how do people get involved with it? Contacting finance.
The best way to get in touch with me is, again, you can go to manupalready.com, and all my info is on there. John Puritz at Gmail is an easy way to reach me. I'm on a social media platform. The financial coaching got born out of when I finished teaching and came here to Florida. I fell in love with educating people like me, and just simple financial education. What are the things that were not taught in high school or college? And then having the ability to sit down and help people put those things in place. So we really excel with the middle income families, small business market, because that's the market that's abandoned. Where middle class is left to 800 numbers and websites. How do they get a real person that can help them start saving, getting out of debt, and doing the right things, doing things properly, and doing things that we're just not taught.
That is something as well too. And of course, what do you consider your favorite projects and most challenging in the ventures you've been in, like with the teaching and also financial advising and everything else? What do you consider your favorites and most challenging?
All of a running theme, Mike, for me is I've been helping people, whether it was music, financial education, or now the book. I have a passion for helping people become the person that they were called to be, right? What is the best version of that person they can become? I love that. It is also the most challenging because the programming that we have says something very different. People struggle with what they've been told versus what's in their heart. And when those rub up against each other, I've watched incredible people walk away from that moment where they could be that person. And then I've helped people get through that process, and watching them flourish and become that person is the most rewarding thing ever.
That is amazing. I like that. I like to, get everybody to buy your book and everything else. And just a couple more things. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh my gosh, that's great. I don't know if I could name one person. I am a mishmash of so many people. Right now, I will tell you, Darren Hardy is a huge influence. Darren Hardy, Andy Frisella, who has a great podcast, the MF CEO, and Ed Milet are three people. John Maxwell, Jesus Christ. Abe Lincoln. I tell you, there's a story. There's a guy that we don't really talk about named Joshua Chamberlain. He was in the Battle of Gettysburg, and that story, I mean, obviously I don't think if you want me to tell that story here, but his
sure, go ahead.
Okay, so Chamberlain, this was one of those things I read as a 20-something-year-old guy, and it just stuck with me, and it really does. All these years later, this story stuck with me, that Chamberlain was in the Battle of Gettysburg. The South is about to take over the North, and if they flank Chamberlain's group, that's it. Civil War's over,
Mhm.
right? Here's a guy that knows that if he lets the South get past him, everything's over, and they run out of ammo.
Mhm.
So they're on the top of a hill. The South is coming up a hill, and they run out of ammo, but the South doesn't know it. And he tells his guys to fix bayonets. And he says, all right, they're going to charge. And they charged down the hill with such conviction that they scared the crap out of the South. And literally everybody went, we surrender.
Oh my goodness. I've never heard that story. And I've got Civil War buffs out there. I just love to tell that story. I mean, I am learning a very wonderful history lesson here, and I'm so glad you did. Now I got to remember that name.
Joshua Chamberlain.
Joshua Chamberlain. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is a great story. And of course, just another thing too. I don't know if you had anything else to say here, but what's the best advice you can give to anybody right now?
The best advice I can give people is turn off the noise, right? Find time, spend time every day with yourself, start journaling, start reading, and start listening to that voice inside, and really start to work on that person. Because I think everybody really truly wants to be a better version of themselves. We need to take the time to do that and believe that it's possible.
That is amazing. I think that's really great too. And of course, just lastly here, just want to thank you very much for your time. You've been working really hard, and I could tell. And once again, what's some of your upcoming projects, your upcoming seminars and everything, and what's the website, and how can people contact you?
Well, we are obviously we're paying attention to getting this book out there. You can follow me on Instagram at J Puritz, Facebook. I do something called a ride along on Facebook. I'll go live on YouTube, John Puritz. You can find me on any social platform. manupalready.com is the website. On Amazon, just type in Puritz and the book comes up. And all those ways you can get me. I'm very easily accessible.
And once again, that is the book, Man Up Already, How to Live and Lead at Home in the Marketplace, on Amazon.com. And John, just want to say you've been fantastic today. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to having you on again soon. And do us a favor, please keep us up to date. We'd love to hear more from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Mike Wagner here from the Mike Wagner Show on TLB TV. That's Liberty Beacon TV Project. Signing off here, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on TLB TV.